Welcome to 5 Minute Salute. I'm your host, Chris Budihas, and joining me in the studio is John Pruitt with Professional Training School, LLC. John,
Sir,
how are you?
Great to meet you, sir.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you. So tell us about your military service, and then tell the audience, since we're nationwide, your law enforcement background.
So back in the 80s, I was in the United States Coast Guard. I was on a high-endurance cutter for the first couple years, and actually my claim to fame in that was we got one of the largest drug busts in U.S. history, and it was 160 tons of Colombian marijuana.
Wow.
That was big.
What does that look like? I mean, that's like a couple of huge, like, semi-trailers full, right?
A lot of them.
Yeah.
We brought it into Mayport. It took us several days to get in because the storm, Hurricane Glory, we were in the tail end of that.
Yeah.
We've been out in. I was on a 327-foot Coast Guard cutter.
Wow.
And that was huge. And of course, they gave us time off, and we got into port, and the DEA and everybody took over the drugs. When we came back, the barge was empty with it, and we went back out to sea.
Wow. God bless you.
And then my last 2 years in the Coast Guard, I was at Marine Safety Office Miami, and I was instrumental in starting the port security program. I created a computer program and fingerprinted hundreds of longshoremen and port personnel from the Keys all the way up to Fort Pierce.
Wow. And then you got into law enforcement.
Then, so for the port security program, I ended up getting the Commandant's Letter of Commendation for my service in the Coast Guard. And then when I left the Coast Guard in 1989, I was hired by my hometown in Kentucky for a very low salary, but went to the police academy beginning May 5th of 1989.
Yes, sir.
And so I'm in my 36th year now.
Congratulations.
Total.
Yeah, thanks for that service.
Yes,
That's
sir.
awesome. So what was the inspiration between, professional training school?
So I've been shooting since I was a child. My dad was he's a state trooper, and then he worked for Jefferson County Police in Louisville. And
yes, sir.
He took us out when we were little kids and showed us how dangerous firearms were out in the country on my grandfather's farm. And I had a well-founded respect to firearms as a child because they were just left leaning in the corner of the closet back in those days, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
times have changed.
Times have changed. So I wasn't much of a hunter or anything like that, but I was an expert at firearms in the U.S. Coast Guard. And then when I came into law enforcement, I became a law enforcement firearms instructor, and I'm a taser instructor as well. And that's kind of how I got into shooting. And
so creation of the school, what was the inspiration? How long has it been around, and what kind of services do you provide?
So I became a law enforcement firearms instructor in 2012, and in 2018 I decided to start my own firearms instruction business, and I train security officers. I've got a Florida K license, which is a Florida security guard instructor. Okay. And started professional training school and started training a lot of veterans, actually, help them get their G licenses to become armed guards, and I still train a lot of veterans.
Yes, sir.
I also qualify retired police officers, teach a lot of concealed weapons license courses, and my biggest thing is firearm safety and training people how to use the guns that they can now carry through constitutional carry in Florida.
Right. And it sounds like a large variety of customers,
Yes,
I imagine women, are coming.
I train a lot of ladies groups, a lot of widows groups. We have a firearm safety program through our police department now through a grant, and teach that once a month. And also created a state-of-the-art scenario shoot, don't shoot training system that I include in my G license security guard training now.
That's
and
important.
It basically teaches you to recognize a threat and shows you when you can draw, how to defend yourself, that kind of thing. And I get you shooting moving targets, steel, paper, a little bit of everything. And it really opens your eyes to noticing what's around you a lot more. Yeah. And for ladies especially, because they become victims more than men do usually.
Yeah, it's sad, right? And then, the shoot, don't shoot scenarios, it's funny, my time in the service, of course, for police law enforcement, that's hugely important, but, going through the scenarios, specifically some of the counterterrorism units I was in, that can either make or break your career.
It's a lot different than shooting at a target.
It is,
absolutely. When your pulse is normal.
Yeah, and the stress you're under, and then, folks, who think they're, that somebody's armed, and the reality of it is a cell phone or something of that nature, and it's like you just took somebody's life or maimed them for the rest of their life by not having proper judgment and not having training that's cost effective, and oh, by the way, it just makes you a more responsible citizen of the nation.
Something else that we do is we do events, big community events like seafood festivals, things like that. A partner and I build and sell shooting trailers nationwide that are simulator trailers.
Okay.
And basically you're utilizing Glock firearms that are all
sir.
infrared, and when you step in that trailer, you are in a custom shooting environment, and we even have rifles that are all infrared, and of course they don't shoot a projectile,
right.
basically you're in scenarios, and it opens the public's eyes. So it's kind of a nice little side
venture.
So
mobile, what kind of organizations or people are buying these types of trailers?
So security companies, a lot of people look at it as a business opportunity because basically what we're selling are business units. So it's ready to roll, so you can set it up at any event and people pay $10, $15, $20, whatever you say, set to come inside and shoot.
So I'll ask you this question. What sets you apart from your competition, or do you not have much competition in the area you're at?
I don't really have that much competition. I don't really advertise either. It's pretty much all word of mouth and referral business, and it just keeps growing because of the scenario-based shooting that we offer, because not many training companies do that. They take you to the range and have you shooting at a target, but I add the element of putting you in real-life threat situations where you have to recognize it, and you may shoot an innocent person or you may die in the scene, and it happens so quick. People say, I didn't even see, you didn't see the knife the guy pulled out, and you didn't see the gun. I mean, they draw very fast. In real life, reality is if you don't train, don't carry a weapon. And my biggest thing is making people aware of how dangerous it is to carry a gun unless you train all the time with it.
Well, that's the thing, right? People, you go get your concealed carry license, doesn't make you responsible enough to carry.
Yes, sir.
I mean, in some cases, you're more danger yourself than you are the rest of the population.
A lot of these express courses, you fire one round into a bucket of sand or into a ballistics tube, and you're qualified. You sit there and you learn the laws for a couple hours, and you fire one round, and that's it, because the state really doesn't have the amount of rounds that you need to shoot. But in my courses, I put people through the scenarios and then take them to the range and make sure they're very familiar with their guns. And a lot of people come back and back and back. I mean, repeat business is important.
That's awesome. Oh, absolutely. And as my wife says, you have great service, you tell 15 of your friends. You have bad service, you tell 50 of your friends. But that word of mouth piece is critical, right? Because that testimony is going to make you want to take action as a customer or future client and stuff. So how do folks find Professional Training School?
So protrainingschool.com
protrainingschool.com,
or rangetrainer.com. Those are my two domains that lead to the website. And we are in the South Florida area, and you may see us at an event with one of our trailers. And like I said, we also sell those through another company I partner with, Fortified Services.
Great. And those trailers are on your website also?
They're not on that website, Range Trainer. That's just the firearms training website, but Fortified Services, LLC.com is the shooting trailer business site that we have.
I'll tell you what, we're going to take all that information, we'll put it on our show notes, we're going to post it out with this video so the rest of the nation can learn what you're doing, the impact you're making on society, and then one day you'll be national, and it's like, I went through training through Professional Training School, and now that's great. Thank you for your service to our nation and to our community, because that matters. Yes, sir.
I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks for making the big drive up here to Northeast Florida. Yes, sir. Hey, folks, you like what you heard? Connect with us on LinkedIn. Share this episode. We would love to get some feedback from you. Take a look at our show notes. Take a look at professionalschool.com at their websites, and what we'll do is we'll see you at our next episode, and live with gratitude.